Okay, let's just get up and running. Hi there, traders. Hope we're doing well. Enjoyed that big rally. I was going to say big rally yesterday. Big rally yesterday on the SPY. Big rally into the through the Asian session into the European session open on the back of stimulus news. The EU recovery fund. So it seems like they're going to pull out all stops, continue to throw money at this market. I don't expect too much too soon on the downside by the looks of it. Any bears that have been continually squeezed out of the action because of your fundamentals, forget about that because the Fed is going to keep throwing money at the market. Well, not at the market, but at the economy to make sure the bond market's buoyed and cheap money is easy again. So what we'll do today is just look at the markets. Just look at everything on the markets. How are you going? The Guru and Gino. Hope we're well, guys. So we'll look at just the action from overnight. Just look at a few key things that we've been watching for a while now. Hey, Pete, we're just going to go through the setups for the day. So the indices for the intraday action, what I'm looking at. Had a couple of good trades. Well, only small trades in consideration yesterday. On the Hang Seng mainly, I think I went on the Dow. No, I didn't. I'm getting confused from day to day. So we've got this is a Dow, so the action from the Dow. So this was at 4:50 in the morning. Just want to see when it sold off. So you see on the US Open, we got that big spike, big sell off, big spike. So there wasn't a lot of action on the upside on the Dow on the open, just after the open. Once the index opens at 11:30, it was done coming into the market through the European session that where it was getting buoyed. So that was in the afternoon. We banged up here. Pushed up quite strong, found some support. So found this support through here at 26,835, which was broken into the close. So if you look at the Nasdaq got sold off quite hard, which dragged down the Dow and the S&P late in the session into the close. So that's pressured the market. So the Nasdaq was not, still not looking too crash hot, but we'll have a look at that. We'll have a look at that in just a moment. So that caused that bit of a trigger to squeeze out some of these longs that have been building up. So from here, what we're looking at in the Dow is, that level's broken, obviously, and that was coming into the open. And on the open, we've had a, basically 100-point squeeze back up of these shorts that played in. So that's just, doing some work on the, those shorts that have been built up through the session. So we'll see from here. What I'd like to see is if we can sort of hold a high level above 26,835. So what we're looking for, if you spike up like that and you don't come back and retest it, if we're looking for this, you don't want it to have too deep a correction. So if you're looking for something off this high as a potential lower high and keep this trend down going, sellers to pile in, squeeze out a few, then start piling in again, take out these lows, or at least take out 26,835. You don't want a deep correction, okay? Something like this. So at the moment, we're just sort of in that mid zone where we could pop back up, retest this little inside level, start to chop around and get heavy again later on into the Asian session or to the Hang Seng when that opens, or into the European session. So we'll just keep an eye on that, what happens. But there are three scenarios. If it does pop up from here, we're looking at this level to see what happens around that level. See if we can get a short off there, off a lower high, of course, or if we start to fail, like I said, around this zone, we're looking for a shoulder, your lower high again. So anything off the shoulders, shoulder on the upside, shoulder here, or shoulder here. That's sort of the scenarios we're looking at. Now, Hang Seng, we've got to wait till that opens. So this is the CFD price, and don't forget. So that may move around coming to the open. But there are your key levels from overnight. You've got one up at 25,580 right up here. Market sold off into the close, so it's come down to this zone from the day at 25,400. So I think that's where it closed basically at 6 o'clock in the morning, about here. So we've had this action following on the CFD, following the US higher. So if that starts to hover around here below 25,505, it'd be interesting to see if we get this kind of action. I'm sort of banking on that, maybe a bit of a squeeze, continued squeeze lower. A lot of longs are built up on the longer term time frame. You can see a lot of longs built up here. Failure off that high at 25,655. Got an inside lower high at 25,580. And then we're going to see if we can fail back off this 505 zone and get a short down to 25,400. So at the moment, it looks like it's going to open up there. It just depends. They'll flush the level, see how hard they flush it. If they just keep going, then you can sort of take off the cards maybe some weakness for the day, and we'd be looking for pullbacks to buy into. Otherwise, if you start to fail off that zone, this is 11:15 when it opens, another hour, a couple of hours away. We were going to look for that shoulder off that zone. You don't want to see it punch through on the open too hard, all right? But it's just looking like it's going to pop at the moment as the Dow rallies. So ASX will be open in 5 minutes. Sorry, the SPY. But I want to see which way it flushes on the open. So it'll flush someone out, whether it's going to flush the lows, because the market has, well, the SPY at least has taken a lot of heat out of that rally. So they can tend to do that if it's setting up for another good day on the ASX. So you might find it sort of gaps down on the ASX from the closing high yesterday, and we'll see if we can find some support. So we want to see if the SPY, you can flush out 60, 65, even down to 52, and then see if we can hold some inside levels, some inside high lows, and see if it can work its way back up again. I think there's going to be, after everything that's going on, all the support that's been thrown at the market, we're kind of bullish on the ASX, and the ASX is actually, I'm going to take a look at something and just remind myself then, is kind of bullish with the breakout yesterday. That's screaming. So one thing I'm concerned about is that, I read somewhere someone saying it's a short squeeze. It stinks of a short squeeze. Short squeeze or blowout? I'll be surprised if anyone's short at this stage. If you continue to jump in short and get squeezed out, it's happened time and time and time again. So that's why I'm starting to believe more of a blowout than anything else, and that could be my bearish biasness. But that sort of move yesterday, 150-point rally, and that was before the European market got going, and Asian markets really started to kick off before the news started to hit. We were already well and truly on the way up. So either we knew something that they didn't, or our market's just a bit of a blowout. It's basically one-way action at the moment. Right, let's get over to dollar index. Dollar index melted down. So I wouldn't have thought it was going to break down like that, but you can see through this zone, once that was starting to stick, 11:30 open, and bang, straight down. It's all one-way traffic, and that's the half an hour chart. You can see all red candles. It has reacted up and off that zone. It's whether it continues on and has a deeper pull, move lower. But at the moment, that momentum is quite stark on the way down. Okay, so it's just whether we're going to start to put in a bit of a basing pattern. We might take out this low, get rejected, another retest, and then higher lows start to build, or whether this sort of chops around here and we sink again tonight. But the US dollar's under the pump. We just, they keep flooding the market with US dollars and stimulus. The US dollar's going to get weaker. And it's also moved out of dollars into euros by the looks of it. As you look at the two economies, the European economy, which is obviously, they've come to agreement, which is a really good sign that they're going to continue support in the future, or giving support to the EU is going to be a lot easier in the future now that they've all come to some sort of agreement within the EU. So that's a good sign. I think they've got the virus. I'm not exactly sure, but I'm pretty sure they've got the virus under control compared to the US. US stocks are well and truly extended, extremely extended in anyone's opinion. So in the way of growth, future growth, maybe it's time to come out of the US share market and into the European stocks. And that way, it helps when you've got the euro rallying off lows and it's taken out to going into new highs. So if we just go, I just want to go longer term and see if this is what I was looking at. So you can see this is a weekly chart on the dollar. There's room for it to break down quite a bit, down to 92 or so, really come under pressure, but hold that weekly trend up. Or is this a double top on the dollar, and when you get some serious weakness and break down to 87, 88, thereabouts, or even down. It's been a lot lower over the years. It's whether this US dollar is going to get pounded again. But we're sort of at this level, just this inside level at 94, 95, thereabouts. If that can't hold, expect some more weakness to come in. We won't worry about the US dollar or anything. Sorry, actually we'll go. So we'll look at the euro, because I think the euro is on the weekly too. See, that's got a bit of room to move on the upside. Now, next port of call, longer term, major move is 125. Inside level is going to be around at 117, which is a couple of 100 points away. 117, 118, which you can see just in here. You've got some, excuse me, some minor levels where we are at the moment at 115.50, thereabouts, which is just these inside levels, but that's not too significant. But you can see it has traded through there before. Okay, so we reacted down off it, straight through, bounced back off it, chopped around in there through. So we're back in that zone now. So whether that's going to provide a bit of support, whether we go through and pull back to retest into that zone in the longer term move up, or whether we react off that zone, we consolidate below and go, yet to be seen. But I mean, the market is, you can see even on the weekly chart, we're stretched. We're stretched. The momentum's picking up on the upside. So maybe, your CCI, which I'm looking at here, or your stochastics, you might look at it stretched. Extended means we could just get a pullback and look for that key pullback to work out along into. The Aussie, let's just look at where the Aussie is on the weekly, longer terms. The momentum's been quite strong on that. Being your commodity currency, a weaker US dollar is going to be good for commodities, good for the Aussie dollar, obviously, and as long as the markets are going up, it's been a bit of a barometer for stock market success as well. Aussie should keep going up. I mean, that doesn't look too great on the longer term, but it's going to come a point where it's going to get a bit of extended and some heat has to come out. All right, it's just where that's going to happen. Is the US dollar at a level now where, okay, it's extended a lot more than not just myself, but a lot more people would have thought. It's taken out level last night. Is it now at a level where we're going to find some buying back into the dollar and a lot of heat, and it could start to act as a safe haven again? But at the moment, why is there going to be a safe haven when US markets are doing well, European markets, any sort of negative price action into the shares is being negated by just continued stimulus. Now, I don't know when these stimulus levels are going to become a problem, when funding those is going to become a problem, or if they ever will, I don't know. But that's, theoretically, that's what should happen. It's just whether it's going to happen now, later, or ever. So there you go. Let's look at some other things. US dollar, gold took off. So that took off well and truly before the US dollar started to melt down at 11:30 at the start of the US session. It was chopping around, whereas gold was up well before that. So there was anticipation that the US dollar is going to melt down. Okay, it was broken. It was coming under pressure. So the gold we just took off instead. And it's not hard when you got everyone bullish into gold at the moment. But with the Aussie market, Aussie gold buyers, I mean, they're going to do well today because generally people just look at the gold price and looking at gold in terms of Aussie. And in terms of Aussie, it's done nothing much. If you compare the two, what do I want here? They're both gold, Aussie. Let's look at that. So both on the same 30-minute time frame. You can see if you watch the mouse on the left-hand side, Aussie gold, as you come down the gold rally, Aussie gold's actually doing nothing. You can see it's sort of going sideways and chopping around. That's just because of the the pressure from the Aussie dollar rally as well. So it'll be interesting to see how our goldies go. I think a few of them are doing okay. A few of them are struggling slightly, considering gold's going to highs. There's talk of as the US dollar melts down, gold's going to become more and more bullish. They've been talking that for the last 20 years. So it's nothing new. It just seems to be happening at the moment. Okay, we'll go to. I just want to quickly look at oil. Oil's finally broken up. It's got through previous highs. Once it fills out, there you go, at around 41.50. You can see this level in here, 41.50. This is the 40 zone that kept chopping around, reacted off, pumped through, straight back down to react, down and off that zone, chopped around here, reacted off, but it kept getting bought up. You can see these high lows holding the whole time. So that's quite a bullish sign. Come back down, retest, is inside level, US dollar melts down, and up she goes. All right, so as long as that US dollar keeps moving south, crude should keep moving up. You've got the reaction off that high, so it flushed out. There would have been a lot of stops on the short side above that level that have been flushed out. So it's whether it can hold that level again and start to rally from there, or what's going to happen. All right, so we'll watch for, if we start to get a lift, if we can draw that nicely, and then we start to fail off that high, expect to move back down, sort of that 40 zone or a retracement. Whoops, we're back to the mean, back down to here, which takes you back into that 40 zone. Or we're just going to blast up. If we start to find support, the more time we sit around here and hold, the more likely I think we're going to go through those highs. But again, it's all depending on that US dollar and copper. Copper's, it looks quite nice, but it's into these previous highs. I think it was copper if we look back on a weekly chart. Look where we are on a weekly chart. That's kind of a key level up here. So it's extended through that zone. Was at 22.9, and it's up to around 3, which has previously been in March last year, so a year ago. at these heights. So it's well and truly extended into that zone. You can see that the momentum's still up. If it continues on up, you're looking to go to 3.3 right up to these highs. Okay, but at the moment, it's not something I'd ever jump into long. With recent price action on this chart, at least is near vertical. I just find it really, really tough to buy into things like that. I like to buy into some sort of price action that's corrective. You've got the double bottom here, something into here. If you can get a higher low on the longer term, lower time frame, something in here. For instance, test, 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 hold, high low in here. You're buying into that sort of momentum, which didn't kick on as hard as what we thought. But that's the kind of price action I prefer to buy into, not something that's well and truly extended. On this case, I'll be looking for more shorts. To get tested a few times and you get a lower high to work into on the shoulder for a short. But at the moment, that's on the weekly chart anyway, but that's what I'll be looking for shorter term. That's on the daily, but we'll see. Right, that's actually the one last thing I want to go on is we've been talking about Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin took off. It took off last night, so it's a shame that we were speaking in the stream yesterday. I've got a buy entry around 95, and that's a longer term thing. It's looking for a bigger move. I was talking about this yesterday of buying through 92.50, and to be quite honest, I just forgot to alert to readjust. So I would have been happy to buy through even this lower high at 92, say 20, or this high at 92.50, buying through that high there with your stop just below, anticipating a move to 95 at least. And we started to fail up here, so we're not failing up there, but if we start to pull back and hold an inside level at a longer term, down around here or something like that, then that's going to lead me to believe we're going to jump up and through 95. It's going to be a bigger move on the cards into, especially if gold just keeps powering higher. But there's even potential for a buy through 94, anticipating that break of 95 with your stop below 93.50 thereabouts. So that's a possibility, and that worked out quite nice. I'm just kicking myself, obviously, that we didn't take that trade through there. Did have a good chat about it yesterday, so feel free to go back on yesterday's stream just to listen to what we were talking about for more detail. All right, guys, that's about it. Just look at Ethereum too. If you're a crypto trader, that looks quite good. I mean, that's probably would have been nice to get in a bit earlier there, but that looks constructive as well. All right, guys, thanks very much for joining me. Remember to look at the website. Leave us a like if you enjoy what you hear, and join us again tomorrow. We're back in at 9:40 tomorrow, so we'll see how we go tonight. And enjoy the rest of your day or evening from wherever you are. All right, guys, speak to you soon. Bye.